Okay, done? So I'm going to go through, this is pretty much like what the test questions are going to look like, what the instructions are going to say, and what the problems are going to look like. Right? So let's start with, there's going to be a few problems which are factor, greatest common factor, right? So what would be the greatest common factor between these two terms? 9 could be part of it. What else is part of it? Yeah, both of them have an x squared. This one's got actually 3 times x, but this has got 2 times x. So let's take out a 9. Oh, I'd like to change color on that. This is going to be blue. Blue. No. Oh. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So we take out a 9, and we take out an x squared. Quiet, please. Okay. Now, what would be left if I took 9x squared away from the 18x to the third? 2x, right? Because 9 times 2 is 18, x squared times x is x to the third. Okay, what's left if I take 9x squared from 45x? Plus 5. Right, that's greatest common factor factoring. So there'd be 3 like that. Okay. You look and see what is the biggest number that would divide into 18 and 45. And you have to know your multiplication tables. I mean, there's not much else. And then you divide, essentially you take whatever's here, 9x squared, and you divide it from 18x to the third to get 2x. And 45x squared divided by 9x squared is 5. Okay. Simplify fractions. Okay, which means cancel common factors. So in order to, what do we mean common factors? Common between what? But what are they common to? The numerator and the denominator, right? So for example, here, and I've got that same expression, 9, obviously I could take a 9x squared from both of these terms here, but can I take a 9x squared from 27x? No. So it really is not going to help us to take out a 9x squared. But we could take out a 9x. And what would be left if I took that out? Okay, so this time we're going to leave an x squared inside. And what if I divide 45x squared by 9x? Plus 5x. Okay, now in the denominator, we already said I can take a 9x out of that. What would be the other factor?
3.
Times 3. So what I'm looking for common factors. It's not necessarily the greatest common factor for the numerator, right? But we need the one that's for the whole fraction, and that means that's 9x. So the answer is 2x squared plus 5x over 3. Yeah, you can't lose that. Yeah, Adam. Well, I did divide by 9. Yeah, 100. Quiet, please. Because I divided out a 9x.
Yeah, I know, but how did it go from third to the square?
Because what's x to the third divided by x? If I do x to the third over x, what do I get?
Oh, okay.
I get x squared. Yeah. Pass over here. Yeah, Connor. Yeah, essentially 9x over 9x is 1, so that means they cancel, right? And that's what we're looking for, common factors, okay? Okay, now, I actually have 3 for this one. Right, so here we have if you have two terms in the numerator and one term in the denominator, you know, you really could split it into two fractions, right? I could make this 18x to the third over 27x plus 45x squared over 27x. I mean, you can split it up if you've got one term in the denominator and more than one term in the numerator. But as we'll see when we get the quiz back, you can't do that with the denominator. If there's more than one term in the denominator, that does not equal 4x over 14x squared plus 4x over 18x. That is not the same thing. So in this case, all we really can do is find that common factor. Okay, what does it look like the common factor will be for all three of those terms? 2x, all right? So if I take out 2x from the numerator, what's the other factor? 2, right? If I take out a 2x from those two terms in the bottom, 7x plus 9, okay? And now, because they have the same common factor here, right? They cancel. That's what we mean by simplifying a fraction. Connor? No, you can do better on the test and I'll replace the quiz.
Take it right now.
It's too late because we're going to... Don't worry.
Pardon the interruption, teachers. All seniors should be back in class at this time. Once again, all seniors should be back in class at this time.
Okay, here we go. What about that one? Would the 7x's cancel?
No.
No, why not, Kai?
Because you don't have stuff on the top. Because if you cancel out the 7x's, it'll be nothing.
No, not for that reason.
No.
Remember, when is it you cancel? When they're common factors. It would have to be that in the numerator, it was, or denominator, it was 7x times something. Then you could cancel it. It's actually just another term. So you just have to say can't be simplified, right? Can't be simplified. You know, we saw this when we did the lesson, and I'm putting it here because one of them tomorrow will be like that, right? Can't be simplified. Can't be simplified. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Graphing a parabola by making a table of values. Now, we only did this if it was x squared plus a number, or x squared minus a number, right? We didn't do this when we got into the next section where we were finding the axis of symmetry and all that stuff. And every time we did it with these, we should have been using the table of values with x values of -2 to +2. Okay, and then how do I find the y values that go with that? You just plug them in, right? So in this case, it's going to be -2 squared to be 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. -1 squared is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 0 squared plus 1 is 1. And then because this is symmetric, it should go exactly the same on the other side. No, -2 squared plus 1. Right? So here's the plot. -2, 5, -1, 2, 0, 1, 1, 2, and 2, 5. Okay, do we see the parabola?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay, so there will be 3 problems like that on the test, right? Make a table of values, graph.
Only 3?
Like that one, yeah. 20 questions, plus an extra credit. Okay, describe the transformations, right? Don't graph, right? There's going to be 3 like this, and it says, don't graph. All we want to do is describe, you know, what is the effect of multiplying the x squared by a 3? It's one of these things here, right? When you multiply by a number bigger than 1, what do you call that? That's a stretch. How about when you subtract a number after the function? Down. There you go. Okay, what does putting a minus in front of it do? We've got a word for that. It's up there in the parentheses. It's a flip. Right? And how about the 1/4 multiplying? It's a shrink, right? Shrink. It flattens it out kind of, right? Okay, how about this one? What's the negative going to do to it? Flip. And the +4 means? No. Up. Up. Remember, if you add or subtract a number after, that's a vertical shift. Plus means up, minus means down. The stretch and shrink don't move it up or down. They either make it skinnier or fatter. That's it. Right? Okay. Okay, next. Find the vertex and the axis of symmetry. Right? Doesn't say the graph. Right? How do we find the x-coordinate of the vertex? What's the formula? It's still on the board right there. Negative b over 2a. Right? So in this case, right, that's going to be negative 8 over 2 times negative 1, which is negative 8 over negative 2, which is 4. How do you find the y-coordinate of the vertex? Okay, and so what is that going to be? Negative 4 squared plus 8 times 4 minus 15. Negative 16 plus 32 minus 15 equals 1. So the vertex is 4, 1. Okay, now what is the axis of symmetry? It's a line, it's a vertical line. How do you make the equation of a vertical line? Is it y equal, all right? X equals, okay, well, what would x have to equal if it goes through the point 4, 1? Come on, it's x, y, right? 4. Right? That's it. So we weren't asked to do anything else with that. Just find the vertex and the axis of symmetry. Okay, next. All right, now we're going to graph by plotting the vertex and the axis of symmetry and a y-intercept and a corresponding point. Okay, so let's see. We got to go through that same calculation for. Yeah, come on. What's that?
Number 42. Do we just
Do 43. 43, not 42. Sorry. Okay, so first, negative b over 2a, what is it? Negative 4 over 2 times 1, which is negative 2. Okay, then we plug it in. Negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 plus 6, which is 4 plus 6 is 10 minus 8 equals 2. So the vertex is negative 2, 2, right? So negative 2, 2, plot the vertex. Okay. Remember, the axis of symmetry goes right through that. Okay, now what is the y-intercept? How can you tell the y-intercept when you're looking at the quadratic equation in standard form? No, it's this number right there. It's the constant, plus 6. Okay, now what do we mean by the corresponding point? So where would it be? For this one right here, where would it be? Say it again? No. Negative 4, 6, right? If the y-intercept is 2 to the right of the axis of symmetry, there must be a point that's 2 to the left because it's symmetric, right? It's got to be the same. Done. All right, you got to plot that vertex, y-intercept, corresponding point, axis of symmetry, sketch it in. Okay, next. Is there a maximum or a minimum? It doesn't ask you to actually find it, It's just saying, can you tell me if it's a maximum or a
The
minimum?
first one's the maximum,
Okay, max, y,
the second one's the maximum.
Because it has
Something
negative
is
y.
okay? So this is a max because it opens down, that point is the maximum. And for the same reason, that's a maximum. And
minimum.
this is a minimum because it opens up. Yes,
Yes.
because that means it opens down, which means the vertex is the highest point. Okay, last. Okay, there's going to be an extra credit word problem, which again is going to have a lot of words in it. And then there's going to be an equation in the middle of it. And then there's going to be some words at the end. It's going to say find the minimum or the maximum. What would this one have, a minimum or a maximum? It's going to have a max. Okay, how are we going to find it? Negative b over 2a. Right, negative 1.3 over 2 times negative 0.2. Right, and then whatever you get with that, you're going to plug back in there to calculate the actual maximum value. Okay, that's it. So the study guide, again, is going to be on the next slide. It's homework due before the test, not extra credit. Check your answers in the back. Retest for less than 70, only if you did the study guide. And there they go, with the directions you should be trying to do. It's 20 questions. It's all the things I just showed you.